really am interested in the necessary dramatics of the back end of our college basketball season here. Because pound for pound, we have 2 potential de facto regular season championships that can be played this Saturday. We have a coin flip, like a legitimate possible Greg Sankey holds out a quarter and is like heads or tails, and they like fly it up, and it could be South Carolina, could be Texas to win the SEC. And there's like a multitude of mid-majors also that make for compelling races. So like, I'm curious, Shawnee, I already see the stress. That makes me want to vote coin toss by Greg Sankey to decide the SEC as my most compelling.
Because, like, something stupid would happen where it's like, what's that movie where the coin just, like, falls on its side and it's just, like, standing straight up? We don't even get the real flip. And it's just, I don't know, man. I don't like a coin toss. I don't like that we're in the position for a coin toss. But
in Inception? Are you thinking of Inception?
I think so.
What?
I think so. I don't remember. I just remember a movie and then there was a coin and it was standing up.
I feel like this happened in like not this movie particularly, but it happened in like an Air Bud type movie.
Yeah, it was either Inception or Air Bud, like one of the two.
One of those two.
That is a wide variance. I would pay to see Air Bud in Inception. Like, go to the third level of the dream with this dog and see what he suggests for you.
Whose dream would he be in?
His own.
The coaches.
Oh, and it's in black and white. His dogs can't see color. Like, oh, we got a sequel here. We got the crossover that you didn't know you needed.
Yep.
Yeah. This is like the natural step up from like the addiction to franchising. It's going to be AI mashups of all your favorite movies, and none of them are going to make any sense.
Oh my god,
that's
like that's the slop we say we hate, and then like we're gonna watch it because we're gonna be like, oh my god, like Emperor Palpatine's in The Last Airbender. Like, what's he doing here?
Well, I can't wait to use up all of
our
water.
What is this, a crossover episode?
Gonna make the world ending that much better. Like, it was all worth it. It was all worth it.
Yeah.
The meteor is all that I would need anyway. And if it happens that it wipes out, like, if it had wiped out the Super Bowl, I would have been happy with that. Like, Eagles, Chiefs, 2 teams that I just loathe more than anything on the planet. I'm glad we don't really have any of those in like the world of women's basketball right now. You know, like 2 teams where you're like, I hate them. What would be your equivalent of that? Like, would that be LSU Texas for you?
No, it would be UConn LSU.
Yeah.
And then it would
Sarah,
be.
Do you have one of those?
No, I don't. Like, I haven't been following long enough to have like these deep resentments quite yet. I kind of like everybody. I find it. I know this is not the answer that you want here, but
this is a very Canadian answer, though.
It's a Canadian answer, but it's also, I mean, part of it is being. Well, it is a Canadian answer in that it's part of it is being new to the pageantry of college athletics. I find all of these teams so fascinating in their history and their culture and like the way they do things. And there's like the band is playing, and you know, you've got these coaches that are these larger than life personalities and all of that. It's just all fun for me. Like, you just get a different side of it every time. So I say, if anything, I would like to see I would like to see new characters for sure, just for the sake of the novelty of it all. You know, I would love to see Texas make a deep run for not necessarily for the on-court aspect of it. Not my favorite team to watch play, but hook 'em horns. Let's put that on the national stage. I feel like it's been a minute. So yeah.
She wants this big Schaefer strip. You're a sicko.
Hey, I am this just like, you know, between this and like the homie hopping thing, I just feel like you really need to open your mind, Shawnee.
You're freaked
Take
out.
Take head out of the gutter.
Honestly, I just like you're just like heteronormative standards, this puritanical shit that you're on. I just don't vibe with it, you know. Let Vic Schaefer do whatever the hell he wants to.
What? You ever saying a white man do whatever he wants. Nah, see, now that I can't stand for.
That's touche.
Vic,
Not on our
honestly,
show.
not during this month.
See,
Oh my
he knows
God.
better.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have to get forged in the crucible of what used to be Clubhouse when Shawnee was really at her most untethered to the necessary reality of being on a show now, you know? Or wait, so Sarah, I'm curious, are you going to UCLA USC this
Yeah,
week?
yeah,
Are
I'll
you
be
covering
there.
it?
Yeah.
So as someone who's new to the pageantry, and we're like way off, I'm just like curious now. What do you want to see from a game like that is for all intents and purposes a rivalry, but one that's just learning to be its rivalry
Ooh.
self again?
Well, I think Lindsay kind of got things started senior night. Mentioned a couple times that she wanted the USC fans to go over there and paint the arena red like only they know how. So I appreciate that. It's a budding crosstown rivalry, right? Just I think it's I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think especially when you think about the history of USC and UCLA and what they kind of represent in LA, you can get into some really messy race stuff, which it's just not even fun anymore because people are so weird. So maybe let's not do any of that. But it's there. Like there's definitely a history when you think about like especially like basketball and football and all of that too. So there's that aspect of it and like just like their locations in the city as well. I think I need a little bit more participation from Corey Close. I think Corey Close is a little too meta about it. I think she understands that it's a storyline, but she doesn't necessarily participate in the storyline in the way that I would like her to. And this is also by and large right now a roster that is full of players who are highly competitive, but not necessarily antagonizing anybody, maybe if we have like Rhea and Kiki and Lauren Betts like get into a real front court battle, throw Janiyah in there, we can see some true animosity start to develop between the two. I think Kiki in particular right now is feeling very competitive. I think the Iowa loss I think hit USC overall, but I think Kiki in particular seems pretty hyped up since that happened. So yeah, I just want right now it's still, they go back and forth. It's fun. It hasn't hit the point where they haven't played each other enough times now to hate each other, right? But it could happen. It could be this game. It could also happen in the tournament as well. It's like more than likely that those two will probably be like the championship game. And maybe March. Who knows? But we're gonna have two, right? Like the first one was just like the first of three. Like you get like the tactical stuff. It's also, man, there's some juice in like the Juju matchup too, because Kiki Rice, not Kiki Iriafin. I think Kiki Iriafin could definitely throw some fuel on the fire as well, because she is an absolute gamer, and she came in, she wanted to shut Juju down. She could not. They had to throw in a lot of different defenders on her. They had to throw London Jones. They have a lot of players though that can annoy her. What's that? The spirit was there. And she had a great game in a lot of other respects as well. Everybody was super locked in. There's definitely some potential. And you have like the sort of, you have the best defense versus the best offense and all of that. But yeah, I think there's room. Like there's just no, there's the kindling is there. We're just waiting for it to ignite. Something needs to ignite it.
Knowing that like it's because I agree. I feel like this game could be the one that builds it out, especially if UCLA beats Wisconsin. Then both are one-loss Big Ten teams. This is now a Big Ten regular season championship. Because of that, does that make this finish out of all the conferences, like, does that make this more compelling than, say, South Carolina, Texas, or TCU and Baylor? Like, does this one matter?
Just by virtue of them playing each other for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're playing other teams and you're kind of like, it's a little bit different watching South Carolina saying, okay, are they going to be able to get through Ole Miss and Kentucky to potentially tie for the SEC title? That's just way different than it actually being like those two teams tied in the standings. And now, especially the fact that USC is the only USC winning that game is the only reason that this is even a conversation.
Yes, I would agree with that. It is, to me, there's three games that like matter to me in that respect. Like TCU Baylor is another one where if they win out, that game I believe is at Baylor and is the Big 12 regular season championship. You've got this one that is the de facto SEC championship. It sucks because Notre Dame, NC State had the potential to kind of be that this past weekend before NC State lost to UNC. And I hate that realignment has made me into this, because like I'm the Pac-12 guy. I'm the West Coast basketball dude. Like my conference died for this. Like to take it all the way back to the beginning of the episode, karma for Utah losing to LSU was that the Pac-12 be destroyed. That's how everything had to be like set back into order. It's like you have opened a ripple in space-time and thus your conference is dead. And
what did it cost you?
Everything. Quite literally everything, bro. But I can't really remember the last time the schedules have aligned in such a way outside of mid-majors where like we've gotten these basically like championship matchups against teams that are, ranked 2 and 4, what is it, like 10 and 18 or so for Baylor. Like it's fascinating. And it makes the sport better, right? Like to me, that's kind of the thing that I took away from that first game between UCLA and USC was that, this was a generational performance by Juju, but this is also a generational opportunity for fans to build fandoms, right? Like if you're a parent and took your daughter to that game in Galen, like there is a very good chance out of this a women's basketball fan and wants to be around the sport. That passes through a generation. And now 15 years from now, that kid is, locked in to the league as a growing product. This
one thing I've noticed, sorry, go ahead.
No, take it.
One thing I noticed anecdotally too is just talking to my friends who are basketball fans who went to UCLA or went to USC and weren't necessarily, big supporters of the women's basketball side of it. Now they are super locked in because it has reignited their hatred of, each other's school, even if that was built by like football or men's basketball. They are now, like the football programs for both schools just are not really relevant anymore. Right. So that sort of hate now has this proxy in USC and UCLA.
Shawnee, did South Carolina have one? Oh, sorry. Continue.
Oh, no, sorry, because I was that kid that went to a UCLA women's game, like, when I was in the 6th grade. And Felicia Ragland, wherever you're at, I hope you're having a wonderful night. Oregon State legend, Pac-12 Player of the Year. She cooked them, torched their faces. She scored, 31 that night? And it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I knew she had next. I left that game like, yeah, that's my girl. Like, that's who I want to be. Like, that's who I want to, like, I got to pull my socks up. I got to get some headbands. Like, you got to do it. Like, and it was just Oregon State and UCLA. Fun fact, there's a coach now in the W that was on that team. I distinctly remember her getting her face shot off. We'll talk about that later. But,
I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it for South Carolina? Like, what was the South Carolina game that you recall was like the generational South Carolina game? Like that had to have been in Asia's tenure there, yeah?
Okay, so that's a little difficult for me because again, Dawn comes my senior year of high school. So then I graduate, go to college out of state, and then like travel around for work, like covering sports as a profession. So it's like I wasn't really home and able to see, like I'm watching it on TV, but I'm not able to be there to like feel the hate and feel the drama because it's like Clemson, South Carolina does not hit the same on the court as it does in football. Like it just don't. And so then there was a time where like Mississippi State was that moment, there was a time, it's just been like different teams at different moments. But like during that foundational piece. I wasn't home to hate, so I can't really gauge and say for sure like this was not. We wanted them in CLA, hung up by their socks. Like take their shoelaces.
I don't think there was ever like a hate when I covered Oregon. I don't know if there was ever like a hate component to it, but like there was a generational, the Team USA game was like the generational game, like the one that built casual fans in the state around that team and around Sabrina was her pulling up from like 35 in 2019 over DT and beating Team USA in like the final minutes. And like that's the kind of thing that I think these games, the Big 12 and Big 10 specifically, I love because there's just such like a juice to them, right? Like one or two major moments in that game, right? Like say HVL hits like a game-winning 3 to win TCU's first ever Big 12 regular season title on literally the final game of the regular season. That to me, I think would matter to fans more than cruising to a conference tournament win by 16 points. Like even though there's another title technically to be won here, those two conferences, the fact that they're basically de facto finals games it just makes everything so much better. But I'm psyched. Like I feel really good about UCLA this time around. I'm curious, like the full health of Lauren Betts, like especially given how much work she's going to get down low, and they're going to feed her as much as humanly possible. And also, this is going to sound crazy. I'm very curious about how good the UCLA crowd is, because I do think it's been a harder build with the fan base in UCLA this season. And maybe the games are late, and maybe I'm just not seeing it well on TV. Pauley doesn't look as full as it could be. And if you're not careful, USC fans, like you mentioned, Sarah, like they might run in the trap and take over the trap here a little bit. I'm very concerned.
Well, that falls into the storyline, right? Because I think UCLA, despite being the number one team for most of the year, has flown under the radar nationally, but also locally. They don't get taught, like the people who talk to me about the UCLA Bruins are people who went to UCLA, whereas Juju, USC, she's on billboards, Nike, Super Bowl, documentary. Like there is just a lot of hype around Juju right now that hasn't necessarily coalesced around UCLA or Lauren Betts, who like still, despite how the team is playing, despite her injury, like it helps that Hannah had a bad game. To me, she's still the national player of the year.
Yeah.
And that just hasn't quite been there. They're sort of, despite being in this market and being UCLA, like there's a degree to which they have been the little engine that could. And it's strange because they're a really fun team to watch too. And they play a great style. And I don't think that necessarily, I think maybe what they need is a few more marquee matchups because they've actually won most of their games by too much for it to really be compelling or really matter. And they also just they haven't had a lot of big games. It was UCLA, South Carolina early in the season. I think that put them on the map. If they had a few other bigger games in non-conference play to really start to build that momentum, I think it could have gone a little bit differently. Because I think that's what we got with USC too. Like they had the early loss against Notre Dame that I think really injected some drama into their season. And they have a huge game against UConn, which I still think is the most watched game of the year of the season this year. Right. Like they just didn't have, and I think maybe it's a little bit harder to create like the marquee center matchup as well. Like it's a little bit more difficult than it is to, have two perimeter players dueling. So yeah, they do feel like they're almost a year away from being able to have a foothold in people's imaginations.
So Corey Close needs to go steal the mascot head, is what you're telling me. Because that's
Corey Close, like, is the mascot. She resembles like a friendly bear oftentimes to me. In that there's moments in which you are like terrified of her because she is deeply, deeply intense, and you kind of see how she is after a loss, and like sort of watching like full court press and her speeches and stuff. She's a deeply passionate person. At the same time, there's something very warm and cuddly about her as well. So I mean, maybe it just has to be her being like the face of the program, like a Kim Mulkey type or a Dawn Staley type, where it's actually she is the draw. I
gonna
can see
say,
that. She's got a
don't
little
go-
John Wooden too. She's a bit of a philosopher, and she like really
Yes.
she gives a shit about how the game is played. You know, like she's a little old
Yeah.
school that way as well.
but never go full Moki. No.
I don't
No,
think Corey Close is going full Mulkey. I don't think
she's even built for that.
she's not.
It's
Yeah. She's almost like she's a little too smart for it all. Like that's like, and that's maybe UCLA as well. Like from a like they're a little too smart for it all.
She's got like it's like microdosed Bill Walton. Rest in peace.
Yes. Oh.
Like if you could just do like little droplets of Bill Walton and
Mhm.
just be like and go, you'd get Corey Close. And
It's kinda
Corey
like,
Close
yeah.
talks about the game.
It's kind of
I
like
need her,
finding
like,
out that
live
your strictly
response to this.
teacher actually started getting into like psychedelics.
Yeah, I need her live response to this. Like, I need her
Yeah.
reaction to being described as a
Corey
cuddly
Close,
teddy
come on, no
bear
cop
and micro
space.
kills.
Yeah.
I can say goodbye to our next UCLA luxury tax interview. Long text to Corey. Hey,
So
it's all entertainment purposes.
It would be amazing if Corey Close was tuned into the final like hour and 7 minutes of this podcast. She should be. She
Look,
should be,
back when I
but-
was on Twitter, I was convinced Jeff Walls followed me because I kept making the Heisenberg joke about him. And so like my thing has always been with Jeff Walls, like especially over the last handful of years, Walls goes and you're not really thinking much about his teams. And then all of a sudden you wake up in March and they're like in the Elite Eight. And you're like, how the hell did they do this? And outside of 1 year last season, like they've done this where since COVID, every season everyone's like, is Louisville really that good? I don't know. It seems like they're losing their team.
Mhm.
Jeff might be just like Brenda Freeze. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, second weekend, Louisville's living. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And so it's like the Jesse Pinkman, he can't keep getting away with it gift. And every time Louisville would win a major game back in 2023, I just kept using the GIF. And all of a sudden, one day, head coach Jeff Walls is following you on Twitter. And I'm like, someone fucking sent Jeff Walls the Heisenberg stuff. And now that's going to be, if I ever get to a point where I'm like, hey, come on the show. Like, you are my Walter White. And I can be Jesse Pinkman, but not in a methy way. Like, do you have anybody that you've ever done that with where like you've been either a fan of them on Twitter or have like talked about them on Twitter as a player or a coach, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I know you because I know that you tweet about me?
I started to get real careful about it once I started actually going into locker rooms, but before I tried to professionalize my my Twitter usage. My handle was Damian Trillard. And I always wondered, but I've never actually had that. I've never had a coach like call anything out. And there are many moments in which it could have happened, and I think I've gotten lucky in that regard.
I feel like Shawnee, the Slack Mamba has to be known.
They just usually block me. Because it's like, it's
Who are you blocked by?
oh man.
Oh, this is a great question.
Skyler. Enrique.
Greg Bibb.
He's not blocked me yet, somehow. And nor has the wing. I thought they were gonna block me.
I thought the Wings guys were blocked.
Kirsten Bell just blocked me this year. Probably Chloe Bibb. I don't remember. Yeah, and that's off top the only ones I remember.
Honestly, though, that's your three seats to a starting five there.
Yeah.
Small ball rotation. Skylar Enrique, Kirsten Bell. We get you a 4 and a 5. You might have an all WNBA block squad.
Yeah, you got to start antagonizing some forwards. Why is it always guards for you?
They're always doing something. They just be doing stuff. They're inefficient, and I say it, and then they get mad about it, and then they go.
You love
and say,
inefficient players, so
typically, but like there's a level to it. But like 4 for 25, like what? No, heavens no. And then like the other one, it was
like
a
Russell
tweet.
definitely put up 4 for 25.
He's never
Tough
in his
one.
life. Never. Never, 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 never. You gotta take it out because she's disrespecting the house. She's putting her feet on my couch. Get us out of here.
Okay.
Feet are
My
going on
final
couch.
thought. Guards are the new NFL wide receivers. They are the enemy speaks softly and carries a knife of all basketball players
Mhm.
generally.
Sorry
Okay,
for
so
the
that's
water
why
that
one of
is getting
the-
wasted right now, but Russell Westbrook has not recorded a game with a 4 for 25 shooting performance. His lowest field goal percentage in a game with at least 20 attempts was on April 22nd, 2012 against the Los Angeles Lakers, where he shot 3 for 22. Now you don't have to cut that.
That on the spot pull of statistics is why you are at the Ringer and we are at No Cap Space.
I just wasted a
I
ton
don't
of water
understand.
doing that.
Well, no, but here's the thing, because like you don't hate anything else but me. Like that's kind of odd.
No, I actually that's not true.
Like we've asked you about hating everything and everything.
I really hate
And
Russ. I'm
then-
not hate, but I just don't like his game.
Man, that
Yeah.
is-
All right, I want to pay for you guys to do like a KOC and Chris Vernon, like that's where we're headed. I'm ready for that. I'll pay the
We
pay
gotta
per
get
view.
done.
Yeah.
Play
by
back
the way,
for,
one more way in which Corey Close is like a bear. You'd much rather encounter her in the woods than a man.
Damn. That's I honestly I want to just cut it right there. I think that'd be the best place for it. Sarah, any final words of wisdom for us or our audience?
I don't know that I've
before
had any
we let
words
you
of
go?
wisdom today. I don't know if that's what I would call it. I think we got. Well, did you want to talk about the NBA and the WNBA and all of that stuff, or
I say
maybe I'll have to come back. Yeah.
I like that.
we can't give all of this. Just no, we got to keep the
we
people
got to put
coming
it
back.
behind. We got to put it behind the paywall.
That could be the paywall episode.
That's what I'm saying.
I like this. Maybe
Oh,
we
playback.
franchise this.
No, we got to get a
Seerat
Nuggets
Sundays.
Lakers game now. Lakers Nuggets rematch on playback. Two of us on stage. Like, let's go.
I like
Let's
this.
go.
This is the cage match that people want.
I like
And,
it. I
yep.
like it.
I'll take it.
Because you waited until you came back to my show to tell me that you hate Russell Westbrook. Like, we've been chopping it up for a minute, and I'm just learning this. I feel a type of way.
You didn't know this?
No. This is new to me.
I don't know. You just haven't been paying
Oh, God,
attention,
my
my
phone.
guy. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm ready for the war. This is the opening salvo of what will be a multi part installments.
Yeah.
Seerat Sohi from The Ringer, thank you so much for joining us, and we thank you all for joining us as well. This has been Ball Up Top, a women's basketball podcast on No Cap Space, again presented by Home Field. Shout out to our buddy Deals Make Beats. He hangs in Denver and has made all of our intro and outro music. We thank him a ton for that. And folks, that is all the time we have on Ball Up Top. Find us on Substack, on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars, and we will see you all next week.